Well, now is the correct time to dive into the data and work hands-on on the practical aspects of Excel. Let's see how. You have some data points in front of you. Now, obviously, it doesn't look nice, right? How? Column A is center aligned. Column B, the heading is center aligned while the data points are right aligned. C column again center aligned, D column left aligned and center aligned. SAP codes in column E I am not able to view in entirety. And then the sales made for plastic, foods, liquid and others are respectively not well formatted. Why? Because some data points are in two decimals, some are in no decimals, some are in one decimals, some are right aligned, center aligned, left aligned, etc. Now, this kind of a data, you cannot expect your manager while you are working into the corporate life, your manager, you cannot expect to review this kind of a data. It doesn't look nice. It's not presentable. Neither to me, I'm sure, nor to you, right? So let's learn how do we better present the data. Let's start with the very basic scenario and let's see how do we present this data with these points in a better manner. Now, the very first thing that you need to do, make it a habit that the column headings are always in bold, right? So one way to do that is to manually select one cell in the column heads, the first cell, and while pressing your touchpad or the mouse, you just drag your mouse or the touchpad till the last column of the table. Now, we used mouse here. My goal with you throughout the session would be to reduce the use of a mouse or a touchpad. We'll work everything through the keyboard shortcuts. Why? Because that's when you'll increase the efficiency. While working in your corporate or professional journeys, you will be using a lot of shortcuts and you will be expected to use a lot of shortcuts in order to increase your speed. And that's why we are together here. My goal would be that you should eliminate the use of a mouse or a touchpad until, of course, it's very, very necessary. All right, so let's begin. Won't be using mouse now. Let's navigate between the data. Now, if I am at the first cell in the data table, which is A1, I need to go to the end of the table, the last cell in the table within column A. Mind you, I am not saying that I need to go to the last cell in the worksheet, but the last cell in this table. How do we do that? We press Control and we press down arrow key together. Control plus down arrow key. Now, as soon as you press Control and down arrow key, you will notice that you have reached till row 158th, which is the last row in the table. Yes. Now, how will you go back up? Control plus up arrow key. Similarly, if you want to move towards the right, Control plus right arrow key. If I want to go towards the left, Control plus left arrow key. And that's how I navigate between the table. Control down arrow key, Control right arrow key, Control up arrow key, and Control left arrow key. Try it on. Alright. Now this is when I want to move between the table. What if I want to select the entire column A till my data table? Not the entire column of the worksheet, but the entire column till this table. How do we do that? This time I will press Control, Shift and down arrow key. So as soon as I press Control, Shift and down arrow key together, my entire data in column A will be selected, right? And if I want to move towards the right, let's try this time. I just want to navigate towards the right on row 1. I'll press Control, Shift and right arrow key. Control, Shift, right arrow key. Alright, if I want to move down, selecting A column, Control, Shift, down arrow key. If I want to move towards the right, Control, Shift, right arrow key. Alright, that's how you select the table. Okay, having said that, now our goal was to select the column heads. So how do we select the column heads? Control, Shift, right arrow key. I need to make this in bolds. Shortcut, Control B. Alright, Control B. Okay, now I can identify the column heads at least. In Excel, make it a rule please that all the text is left aligned and all the numbers are right aligned. Text left aligned and numbers right aligned. So if I need to select these three columns B, C, D, I can press Shift and I can press arrow keys to select the cells. B, press Shift and right arrow key. C, press Shift and right arrow key again. D. Now, how do I select these three columns? Guessed it right, guys. Control, Shift, down arrow key. Alright. Now I need to make it left aligned. If you are using mouse, which ideally you should not, but if you are using mouse, you can go to the Home tab and from the alignment, you can select left aligned. Alright. If you are using shortcuts, which you should, you have to press Alt, H, A and L for left alignment. Alt, H, A, L for left alignment. So now my column B, C and D are left aligned. Okay, I told you the numbers need to be right aligned. So column F, G, H, I, let's make it right aligned. I select the cells, the column heads and Control, Shift, down arrow key, I select the entire column. For left alignment, it was Alt, H, A, L, L being left aligned. For right alignment, it will be Alt, H, A, R. Alright, for right alignment, Alt, H, A, R. So now, at least we are giving some shape to the data. Still, I am concerned with column E. Why? Because I am not able to view the entire code. Whenever such kinds of things happen in Excel, where you are not able to view whatever is written in the cell in entirety, there are two options with you. Actually, three. First, if you are using mouse, go to this borderline of E column and double click on it. Go to this border, E column border and double click. As soon as you press or double click, it will take the entire width of this column and you will notice the width of column E has been automatically expanded, right? So this is how you adjust the width of a column. This was first alternative. Now if I want to undo this action, to undo, press Ctrl Z together. Ctrl plus Z. Alright. So this was first alternative. Second alternative is go to this borderline and manually drag rightwards to increase the width till it adjusts. This is the second alternative. Both the alternatives are not preferred. Why? Because you are using mouse, and we in this session have the aim to eliminate the use of mouse. So let's undo. And now let's see how do we adjust the width with just one click of a button. Let's go to column E. Let's select the entire E column till the data points. So shift, control and down arrow key. I have selected the entire E column till the data points. Now the keyboard shortcut to automatically adjust the width is Alt O C A. Alt O C A. As soon as you press Alt O C A, you will notice the width of column E has been automatically adjusted, just like the first alternative. Alright, so that's how we adjust the width of a column. Okay, now at least I am giving some shape to my data. Looks a bit more presentable than the previous thing. Still, I am concerned with the numbers. Why? Because some numbers are in 2 decimals, some in 0 decimals, some in 1 decimals. Let's format them a bit to make it consistent. Always remember, whenever we are working in Excel, we need everything to be well formatted and numbers should be consistent. With consistent, I mean if you are making the numbers in 1 decimal format, you have to keep them in 1 decimal format throughout. If no decimals, then let it be no decimals throughout. There's no harm. But it has to be consistent in order to look well. Now let's format the numbers a bit. I'll select the numbers, then shift, control and down arrow key. Now again, 2 alternatives. First, if you are using the mouse and you want to present the numbers in 2 decimal format, take your mouse to the home tab. Within the number, press on this small comma style button and click on it. As soon as you click on it, you will notice everything gets converted into 2 decimal format. That's the standard format. Well, if you ask me, is there a shortcut? Well, of course there is a shortcut. Let's undo this. I don't want to use mouse. What is the shortcut? The shortcut is Alt H K. Simple. Select the number, Alt H K individually. Alt H K. Alright. So as soon as you press Alt H K, everything will get converted into 2 decimal format. Now, you say that this still doesn't look nice. The numbers are very small. I don't need 2 decimal format. I need 1 decimal. Now, you are thinking to reduce 1 decimal. You take your mouse to the last button here, decrease decimal. Click on it and your decimals will get decreased. Press again, 0 decimals. If you want to increase the decimals, click on this increase decimal button. 1 time, 1 0 will come. 2 times, 2 decimals will come. Again you ask me, Nana, no mouse usage. I want to use the shortcuts. Do you have a shortcut? Of course you have a shortcut. To decrease the decimals, press Alt H 9. Alt H 9 to decrease the decimals. Again, Alt H 9. The number of times you press Alt H9, the number of times the decimals get reduced. Alright, if you want to increase it, Alt H0. Again, 2 decimals, Alt H0. 3 decimals, Alt H0. Alright, So let's remove the decimals. So Alt H9, Alt H9, Alt H9. So I've removed the decimals as well. Now, good format, undoubtedly. But can it still get a bit better? According to me, it should get a bit better. Why? Because if you notice, there are still unwanted spaces. Like city, there's a lot of unwanted space at the end. Again, region also, a lot of unwanted space. Similarly, before the numbers, a lot of unwanted space. Why do I need to use such unwanted spaces? It will increase the size of my file, right? So what will I do? Absolutely correct, guys. Select it, Alt OCA, select the next one, Alt OCA. Similarly, select the numbers, Alt OCA. So you will notice the spaces are reduced and all the columns are adjusted to the data points. Okay, does it look good? Better, but not very good. Why? Let's see. If I want to select the entire data points in my table, I want to select the entire table in one go. Do I have an alternative? Instead of using mouse? Yes, I have. Press Ctrl A. Press Ctrl and A together. This will select the data. If you press Ctrl and A once more, entire worksheet will get selected. Right? So if you want to select just the table, come inside the table, press Ctrl A. If you press Ctrl A while you are outside the table, then entire worksheet will get selected. Okay? If you want to select the table, come inside the table, anywhere inside the table, press Ctrl A. Okay? Now I am planning to give some borders to it. How do I give the borders? Go to the Home tab, within Font, select this Borders, down arrow key, and select whatever border you need to make. Let's give it All Borders. So we have created the borders. A question inside your mind. We used mouse. Why not a keyboard shortcut? Let's do it with a keyboard shortcut. The shortcut to create the border, press Alt H B and select the alphabet which border you want to make. I want to make all borders, which is represented by alphabet A. So I'll press A. Alt H B and A for all borders. So Alt H B and A for all borders. Alright, so that is a better presentation. Can it be made a bit better? Let's see. Let's select the top row again and let's try and give it some color, some background color to differentiate, of course. So go to the Home tab. This time click the next down arrow key and give it a dark color. Not very dark also, but yeah. So this differentiates my headings vis-a-vis my data. Now you say, this looks nice, but I do not want the grid lines here. Can I remove these grid lines? Well, of course you can. The first way is to go to the View tab and uncheck grid lines. Go to the View tab and uncheck grid lines. You want it back? You check it again. Alright, go to View, uncheck, check, uncheck, check. Do you have the shortcut for it? Yes, I have shortcuts for everything. So let's see. What is the shortcut? Alt W V G. Alt W V G. I want it back. Again, Alt W V G. Press Alt W for view and VG for view grid lines. Again, Alt W, VG, it will have you back. So these were some of the tidbits in Excel which will help increase your efficiency while working on Excel. Coming up next are some of other basic essentials in Excel that you need to take care while working in Excel. See you around in the next video.